our history, our heritage, and our culture.
I'm Amari.
Charisma, welcome.
What's up, Rez?
How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I got a quick question for you.
No, no questions
Over the
today.
past, okay, all right then. Okay, then on this. Well, in many ways, in many different ways, a very creative person. From the music to the film and the theater and whatever else. I don't even know. Do you draw? Do you paint? Do you sculpt?
I
Whatever.
do. I don't sculpt, but
Um, yeah, that seems kind of next level. But creativity and creative outlet in general, in terms of mental health, in terms of just health in general, is very important. Over the
yeah,
past few months, over the past year, it's been particularly important as a release. Today, we are joined by Odessa Oda, who is a writer from out in San Diego, California, to talk about the importance of creativity, uh, being trapped in society, but also being trapped in the house. So let's welcome Odessa. What's up, bro? How you doing?
um,
Peace. I'm good. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for having me
Yeah,
on. I
no
appreciate
problem.
it.
Yo, so tell us, man. We know people have been living under, abnormal circumstances, right? And particularly for the Black experience, I mean, it even got abnormal this past year. Um, what is the role of creativity, or what role can creativity play in showing us a way out?
I mean, I think it's just really it lets you be you
Mm,
in a society that really lets be us all the time, you know? So that's I think the biggest thing. We get to be ourselves. And you get to say things and to show things that aren't being spoken about us and not even being spoken to us. So it just allows
mm,
us to have that freedom to be. And in times like this, that's like super important because you're already stressed. It's hard being Black anytime, but being
mm,
Black in the midst of getting just I mean it's been consistently getting whooped. That's just a part of our experience. But in the middle of a pandemic at the same time, it's just
mm.
added on to where it's easier to want to burst. So we have to find good and creative ways to do that, ways that are
Wow.
productive and ways that progress us to do that. And I think creativity is a great way to do that.
so
Mm.
when do you feel like you found when do you feel like you first found your creative voice and your voice as a writer?
So for me, I was writing my whole life. I grew up Black in Orange County, which
Mm,
is, if you haven't, if you everything you heard about is probably true. It's a very it's not a very welcoming environment for
mm,
Blackness. Now, you
Mm.
can be welcomed as Black without Blackness, but for Blackness, it was not very welcoming, especially back when I grew up out there in like the 80s and the 90s. So for me, my parents were kind of like, they're always a little bit rebellish. They were involved in a lot of civil rights movements. My dad was a Vietnam vet. My mom was a photographer.
Mm.
Um, when they, so they were like super creative in their life, and then they had a family and had to just kind of survive, and they decided to try
Mm.
to survive in Orange County. So from a young age, I was always around creativity. But on top of that, I was always kind of like, because my parents were always into being who they were always big on being who you are. They never try to make
Mm.
us anything that we weren't, and they always, allow us to express ourselves. So my dad was, he never liked to really do things like normal people. I wanted GI Joes and He Man. I don't know if you guys know about them from back in the
Of
yep.
day,
course, man.
but
Yeah.
okay, that's what's up. So I would have those just like every other kid in my age group, Thundercats, whatever, Ninja Turtles, all that stuff.
Oh,
But my dad didn't, right? But my dad didn't believe in giving like my dad for a gift, he gives you like a basketball or blocks or puzzles. And then when he read bedtime stories, he wouldn't read, Goldilocks. He'd be reading Destruction of a Black Civilization.
Hey,
That's like
Chancellor
a
Williams.
bedtime
That's
story
what's
for
up.
me growing up.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the kind of the world I grew up in. So I got into comics, and I was really into DC Comics. Batman is my favorite comic book hero, and then on top of that, I
mhm.
was into like the Archie kind of silly kitty
Were you
misfit
Team
type of
Veronica
comic.
or Team W?
I'm team Veronica all the way. That's just me. You know. it goes into just like so much of like my psychosis, but I'm Team Veronica. I'll just leave it at that. So from a young age, I got into creativity and I started writing, rapping. So I was rapping, but I was rapping from like an experience that wasn't mine. You know, I grew up in
Mm.
Orange County. I grew up in a two-parent conscious Black home, and I was rapping, you know, a lot of gangster stuff. Now, I had a lot of family members that were involved in a lot of stuff. You know, they weren't close family members, but I was aware of it, and I was aware of things that were going on in our community. But to me, it was kind of crazy that as a young Black man growing up in Orange County, my go-to when I started rapping was to be gangster. You know, and
Yeah.
that early '90s scene with like the Project Blow with the AC Alone and you know, the Inner City Grad album, and then also like Souls of Mischief and Far Side. It showed me another way to
Yeah.
rap
Yeah. Yeah.
that
Hmm.
really started me expressing myself differently, and from there it just went on.
And now,
Right.
so with that, let me ask you, because I know there are going to be some viewers who will say, I don't have a creative bone in my body, right? What do you have to say to people who say that, which we hear often?
I mean, we're all creative. I mean, the way you eat spaghetti is creativity. You know, the way you walk down the street, the bop that you have, the ideals that you have, it's all creativity. So we don't always express it the same way, but we can all be creative, and we all are in the ways that we live our lives when we're being our true selves.
Mm.
That's a beautiful point. Creativity and individuality. So, what are some of the things that you've been able to do with some of the organizations that I know you talk to us off camera about that you work with just to maintain your creativity and sanity during this shutdown?
So the biggest thing that we try to work on. So one of the organizations that I work with, Little Stars, it started out from a friend of mine, Spurgeon Thomas, who was just a phenomenal spoken word poet, like one of the best that I've seen do it. And he was inside the tech field, and we started in San Diego. There's two primary Black communities in San Diego.
Okay.
There's a working to middle class, what we call Southeast San Diego, and then we have like the urban inner city East San Diego, which has a lot of poverty. 50% of the murders are in one. You know, we don't have a lot of, you know, violent crime, but we 50% of the murders are in one community in East San
Wow.
Diego. And so what we did, and what we did was we looked at like, unfortunately, violence is also an expression of creativity. You know, I believe that everything that we express in our lives, the way that we do it is showing our creativity. So what we wanted to do was show a way to express this in ways that were more productive, but also
Mm.
that were showing the value that these individual students had. So with Little Stars, it started out as primarily as a STEM organization. That's still primarily what it is. So it's introducing kids to people involved in the tech fields, people who are involved in sciences, and getting them to be able to like meet people in their community, you know, that live in San Diego. They didn't know were even there, helping them to experience these things. So because we both
That's
had
one.
backgrounds inside of it's because we both had backgrounds inside of, you know, writing, we decided to do a program where we add in creative writing. And we started it with just like battle rap and dissing. So we did this thing at UCSD, which was kind of the premise of what we ended up doing, where we couldn't get the kids to kind of get into what we were doing. So what we did, we started like just capping on each other. I don't know if you guys call it capping back there, but we just started dissing, talking about our clothes, talking about all these kind of things. And we saw it got the kids engaged in a way that we couldn't get them any other way. So when we saw that, we were like, this is a way that we can expand this. This is a way that we can make this relevant to their lives. And it went on from there. So definitely.
Man,
Well, thank you
it
so
sounds
much
like you're up.
for
Yeah, it sounds like you're up to some really good work out there, man.
Hey, we're trying. And, you know, I just
Yeah,
appreciate
yeah.
you guys giving me a chance to even talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, well, thank you for joining us, man. And creativity is certainly a very important avenue, essential to human growth and development, man. And for us being stuck in the house, I know I've seen a lot of creativity from folks who may not have necessarily seen themselves as creative in the past, um, or folks who are
Mhm.
just trying to look to find new ways to, as you say, eat spaghetti. So, man, we appreciate you joining us, bro.
Oh, appreciate it. You guys have a great evening. Bye bye.
Yeah,
You
man, you
too.
too.
I'm gonna be
There it is,
even
Riz.
more creative the way I eat my spaghetti now, thanks to
Hey, that
Odessa.
sounds good.
Intentional about the way
Well,
I eat my spaghetti.
that's it. Well, this has been another episode of 28 Days and Beyond.
Where we talk about our history, our heritage, and our culture. We'll see you next time.